Hello, and welcome to the Unity Homes webinar on our Streamlined design system. I'm Mark Hertzler, Director of Unity Homes. This is Alison Kay, our sales lead. Later in the webinar, you're going to hear from Andrew Robel and Christine Osterwalder, who are both sales advisors here at Unity. And behind the camera, we have Damaris Graham. Damaris is our marketing content specialist. So she's responsible for all of those great newsletters and media posts that I'm sure all of you are following. So just start off with a little bit of an order of events. Alison and I are going to start off with a little bit of an overview of Unity Homes, who we are, what we do. Then we're going to move into a pre-recorded session, a couple of segments. Alison will go into a little bit more depth on our Streamlined design system. She's going to talk about this great virtual digital tool that we have. And then you'll hear from Andrew and Christine on case studies on two different Värms. And it'll help give you a good understanding of the capabilities of our Streamlined design system and how you can use essentially the same components to put together a slightly different design to fit your needs and your site.
We're going to save questions till the end. We'll have a nice, good amount of time for the Q&A at the end. You can find and submit your questions at the bottom of the screen using the Q&A button. That'll pop up a screen where you can type questions to us, and we'll go through those at the end. Feel free to submit them at any point in time in the presentation, but we'll get to all of them at the end.
All right, so we'll start off with just a little bit about who Unity Homes is, what we do, and how we can guide you through your design build journey. So we understand that building a house can be a very complicated process, especially if it's a high performance house, which is what we do. And it can seem very daunting for someone who has not gone through it before. There are a lot of details to figure out. There's a lot of different people involved. This, for most of you, is going to be the largest purchase of your lifetime. Not to put any pressure on you, but that's an exciting time. But there's just so much that has to be figured out, so many different details. And I'm assuming that most of you do not have a background in construction and building high performance houses. And so it can be a very daunting task.
There's a lot of questions that you're going to have at the start of this endeavor. How much is it going to cost? How long will it take? What will the design look like? What will it be like to live in a high performance home? And who's going to do all of that work?
Right. And within all that, your goal is to build a better home for you and your family. A home that also is going to live lightly on the planet. So it's a home that's healthy, comfortable, energy efficient, durable, and sustainably built.
And our goal is to bring you a simpler process to this complex process of building a better home. And we want you to know that it is possible, that there is a way to get to that high performance home and higher quality home through the process with Unity.
Yeah, so a little bit more about Unity Homes. We were started in 2012, and we are a sister company of Bensonwood Homes. Bensonwood Homes has been in existence for over 50 years and has been a leader in innovation and building science. So we are continuing that tradition of Bensonwood Homes. Alison's going to describe a little bit more in detail later on in this webinar the unique design system that we have. But that design system then is going to lead to us building your house off-site in a factory in panels in a state-of-the-art production facility. That will be followed by a rapid on-site installation, assembly of those panels that can then be finished off on-site.
So we want to make the home building process easier. We do that by giving you more predictability with the process, product, and cost and timeline. We're going to help you with everything from the start and thinking about the location of your home on the site and kind of maximizing those benefits. We're going to help you through financing questions all the way to finding the right local builder partner. So we're going to help you design the home as well as all of those other complex parts of the process. And we've kind of laid out the Unity process into 3 easy steps of choosing your platform, choosing your path, and choosing your package.
So once your house is designed, as I mentioned before, we're going to be building it in a factory using CNC machinery to get to a high level of precision. That's not common with construction. Using this panel approach then allows us to assemble the house on your site very quickly. The advantage of that is then your house is not exposed to the elements for a long period of time. That installation happens within weeks, whereas in a typical process, it could take months. And you're exposed to all sorts of weather conditions during that time. We also install the windows, the doors, and the installation in our factory. So that means once our installation is complete, you're ready for your local builder to finish the house off much quicker than if you're waiting months for that framing process, windows, doors, and installation to be completed.
So it's our goal to provide you with a simple process with clear steps, a defined process, and help you get to that healthier, high performance, better build.
Yeah, so that's just a real quick overview of Unity Homes, who we are, what we do, how we do things differently. For more information, feel free to check out our website. I'm sure many of you have already. And you can fill out the contact form. If you fill out that contact form, then you could be in touch with one of our sales advisors who would be happy to give you more information and guide you through this complex process. So now we're going to move into a pre-recorded segments of this webinar. Alison is going to give an overview of Streamlined, our new digital tool, and then it'll be followed by the 2 case studies. After those segments are over, we'll come back to Alison and I here live and answer any questions that you have.
As Mark and I mentioned, Streamlined is one of the 3 design paths that we offer at Unity. It's really our core offering. Streamlined is essentially a design system that we developed to offer the best value between predictability and flexibility. You'll work with a sales advisor to identify the platform or style and the components and their arrangements of your design, and then interior layout options. And you'll do all of that in the sales process with the sales advisor. This is going to get you predictability about the design and cost information early in the sales conversation. The opportunities that exist in Streamline are many. We have many different orientations. We can flip and mirror plans. There's multiple kitchen layouts, entry and storage options, first floor bedroom suite additions and layouts, connector layouts and different sizes. There's garage sizes and orientation changes we can make around the garage. There are second floor bedroom layouts that are plentiful, and screen porch locations and sizes that vary so that you can tailor that to your site and where your site needs. In developing the Streamlined design system, we knew we needed to improve our visuals, and we couldn't rely on our architects and designers to communicate those super early in the sales process. So that led us to work with a software developer to develop a tool that can easily put together only the streamlined options in a user-friendly way. So this is the tool. It's called Seamless. It's fairly new. Again, we worked with the software developers to create this tool to allow the sales team to implement the streamlined path in the sales process. Previously, we couldn't show you a design until much later in our design process, and certainly that's the case with any custom design too. The design system itself, paired with this tool, allows us to keep our design fees low and provide accurate estimates very early on. So utilizing Seamless, we're able to model different options for you, adding on garages, rotating garages, are just a small example of what we can do, and all with giving you live cost information. The Seamless tool lets us show you images in 3D, take the roof off, show you the interior layout with 3D exploded versions, like you just saw, show you the exterior volumes and what that's going to look like on your site. And now we'll kind of put this into play for you with some case studies that Andrew and Christine are going to go through.
So for our first case study, we're going to be looking at a Värm in Vermont. A little backstory on the clients. This was a young couple with 2 young children living in Massachusetts. They had been spending a lot of their leisure time in Vermont, and with the new opportunity to work remotely, they thought about making Vermont a more permanent place to reside. So as they began to look for properties in the area, they also began to research options for a build. And with their interest in new technologies, they stumbled upon Unity Homes. As with any build project, it all begins with the property. So these clients looked at several different properties in the area, each with their own set of limitations, before stumbling upon this site here. It was heavily wooded at the time, so it did take quite a bit to clear that property. But once they did so, they were left with a large, relatively flat lot to build on, and that allowed them to have flexibility in the orientation of their home, also taking into account that further down the line they wanted to allow for solar, so that helped with exposure. And with the flat lot, it allowed for the most economical use of the foundation, which is a slab on grade. We next want to further understand what a client needs out of their design. So in this particular instance, the program requirements from this family was that they needed it to be a family-friendly home, which means they needed 3 bedrooms, 2 of which were to be upstairs and 1 in the form of a primary bedroom suite downstairs. They also needed a large mudroom and playroom, as well as extra storage and space in the garage. An open concept living was very important to them, as well as a work from home space. Once we've established their program needs, we're able to take a look at this constellations page to make sure that we can apply everything that they need in the form of these color-coded components. As mentioned before, they had a relatively open lot, so that gave them flexibility to choose their desired layout. In this case, they went for an elongated layout, so you can see a primary bedroom suite in blue off the gable, as well as their connector and garage off the other gable with a screen porch and an entry porch on the north and south side. We then moved on to taking those choices that the clients made in the constellations and implementing them into our 3D software Seamless. So that's when we can take everything that they've chosen and realize it in 3D. So here you can see that we've got that downstairs primary bedroom suite attached to the main volume, followed by the connector and the garage. This really helps clients, and this client in particular, get a sense of that design, and we're even able to place that on their lot and help with orientation. We're even able to take it a step further. As you see in this photo, we're able to remove the roof and actually the second floor as well, so we can really dive deep into those spaces and get a sense of what it's like to be in there. Again, this is a useful tool specifically for these clients, as it helped them get a sense of what it was going to be like to be in that space. And here again, you can see those choices made in a 2D plan set. So again, every option that was chosen is shown in this image. You've got the garage, connector, main volume, bedroom suite, screen porch, and front entry porch. And here's a view of their second floor options. So you'll have options within our Streamlined offerings for second floor layouts. Again, with their program needs, they specify 2 bedrooms upstairs with a livable / playroom area. And so this particular layout worked best for them. So here you can really see the net effect of working through that streamlined pathway. With this finished photography, the clients were able to obtain everything they needed to out of their program requirements. They were able to have that large open concept living, dining, kitchen area with their pantry, which can be viewed in that top right picture with the yellow door. As far as the mudroom and formal entry go, that helps with their seamless transition into and out of the house, along with their half bath and their first floor bedroom suite. And finishing up here with some of the finished photography from the second floor, you can see that they were really able to maximize the space and obtain what they need from it. So they have that play area, the 2 bedrooms for the young children, and they have the bathroom, laundry, and storage closet. So really a cohesive design that works well for their needs. I appreciate you sticking around for this case study, and I'm going to hand it over to Christine, who is just across the river to the east.
Second case study today is a Värm in New Hampshire. This home was built for a family that was moving from out of state for a job relocation. They had 2 teenage children, so they were looking for a lot of different living spaces in their home. Their number one priority, however, was an in-town walkable location so that their children could walk to the high school. Their second priority was energy efficiency. They looked at existing homes and couldn't find anything that met these 2 criteria, so they decided to build. They found an in-town location, but it was a tight space with roads on the front and the back, as well as neighbors on either side. So they wanted the home to look really good from both road views. They also wanted a variety of outdoor living spaces. Because the lot was flat, they chose a slab-on-grade foundation, which is what Unity typically recommends when there's 4 foot of slope or less. In terms of living space, they wanted 3 to 4 bedrooms, including laundry on the first floor, a home office, and then they wanted a family room or guest space for some of those out-of-town guests, along with an open floor plan and a 2-car garage. You can see here our Värm constellation and some of the elements that they selected for their plan. There are multiple kitchen and bedroom layouts, and so this is how you can customize using our Streamlined process. Using Seamless, you get a view of the home from different sides. Here we look at the rear view as well as the front view, but 360-degree views are possible. From the floor plan view, you can see that this farm was designed in a more efficient, compact L shape compared to Andrew's farm in Vermont, and that's because of the tight lot location. Here you can see the finished first floor plan, and they ended up with a covered porch, a screen porch, and a patio, in addition to their indoor living spaces. Here's their second floor plan. And here's a sneak preview of how it all turned out. They did get their open concept kitchen, living, dining room. They ended up putting a half bath in their mud room or connector space. They have that first floor laundry, and then they have a lovely primary suite, which they use as a den or family room with a guest suite and bath. Upstairs, they have 3 large bedrooms, and this is one of the options that we have because the Värm actually has 5 upstairs floor plan options for a lot of customization possibilities. Thank you for joining us for these 2 case studies today. Alison and Mark are now able to answer all your questions.
All right, so hopefully that was helpful in understanding a little bit of the streamlined design system and the ability to take all those standard components and plug them on in different directions. That way you can maximize your site, things like solar, views, driveway approach, and in those situations where there are tight lots, we're able to move things around and still get the same components, the same program, but fitting them into a little bit of a more compact design. So we're going to move into some questions.
All right, let's get started. So we're going to read the questions out loud because I believe you can't see them on the viewer's end. So we'll start with this one. Are we, the buyers, able to manipulate the software program at home from your website without assistance, just for experimenting? So that is something that we hope to be able to offer in the future. Right now, it's a little too early for us to release it in that function, but eventually that is something that we want the software to be able to do. Right now, you'll be able to access the, or you'll utilize it with a sales advisor. The sales advisor will be able to share images and share our screen, showing and working through different design options with you, virtually, in a virtual meeting usually.
Yeah, and that software is, as Alison said, very early on in development. It's been a great tool so far, and we hope to add more features very soon. All right, what is complete? Are interior finishes complete, or are they done by someone else? Good question. So we have for Unity Homes options for two packages. The first package is called our shell package, and that includes all the panels, the exterior walls, the roof panels, the interior walls. That's our sort of base package. We can then add what we call a tempo package. A tempo package would be us supplying most of the finishes. You don't have to take the tempo. You could just take the shell package. You could do the tempo. In both cases, then we partner with a local builder who, once we complete the shell, will then install all those finishes. So they'll work with the electricians, the plumbers, the HVAC contractors, and all the carpenters to finish the house off. And I say partner because it really is a team effort. We're coming alongside you, helping you guide you through that journey. But we're going to work with you and the local builder to make sure that that house is completed the way that you want it to be.
The next question is, could you share your thoughts on airflow and the potential or not for mold? I was told this was once an issue with net zero homes. So a high performance home should always be considered or acting and designed as a system. So there are many parts and pieces that are at play that come together and work together to prevent things like mold. The first and foremost, the air tightness of a house can often be misunderstood as a need for the walls to breathe, or the house needs to breathe. And that's actually not true. The occupants inside the house need to breathe, but the envelope itself does not. It needs a pathway for drying, but not necessarily for air to move through. So we have particular construction details that focus on air tightness, and we design the mechanical systems within the house to support that. So we also have a whole house balanced ventilation system in the form of usually an HRV, which will balance the air within the house. So it prevents any negative or positive pressures which might drive air or moisture through an envelope. So that's the first way that we're kind of preventing and tackling the mold issue. Another way that we do that, off-site fabrication has materials and our manufacturing or production of the panels and insulation and all of our framing is done inside in a controlled facility. So it's not exposed to rain and weather and things like that other homes might be during construction. So we get that envelope buttoned up really quickly on site, and it's protected from weather and elements right away. So those are usually the two things that are causing mold in a home. And so High Performance and the Unity Homes details specifically do a great job of preventing the instances of mold.
Yeah, and that HRV, the way it's balancing out the air pressure is it's continuously bringing in fresh air and exhausting stale air. And as it does, it's reclaiming some of the heat. So you're not just exhausting all the heat, or in the summertime, the cool air. So that the HRV makes sure that the air inside is not stale. It's constantly fresh, but it's also efficient because it's reclaiming some of that energy before it goes outside. All right, how do you find a local builder? That's another really good question. It's a very
common question.
Very common question, and it's a key part of the success of the project. So the simple answer is we will help you find a local builder. As I mentioned before, it's a team. You know, it's your home. You're working with us to guide you through this process. We're going to help you find a local builder. We have a good network of builders that we've worked with in many areas. If you're in an area where we don't have a local builder to work with in the past, we will do research. We will vet what the options are and work with you to make sure that you have a builder who understands the high performance aspect of the house and has the same goals that you do and that we do. And we will work together throughout that entire journey.
It's very common for the sales team to have conversations with builders and with prospective buyers and builders to make sure that they really understand the Unity Homes process as well. So the next question is, you mentioned the streamlined method as one of three. What are the other two? So that's in reference to our design paths. And streamlined is the main, I also call it the meat and potatoes of Unity Homes. And that's where we're leading on that design system with the predetermined options. There's a lot of options, but they are kind of predetermined. You're picking from those options. We also have Express, which is a option where you're choosing a fixed plan. So it's a plan that already exists in its entirety. You can't make any changes to that. It requires slab on grade, but it can be a really cost-effective way to quickly get a really nice Unity home for your property. The other option is called personalized, and that comes into play when we've kind of exhausted all of the streamlined options, because that's going to be the best value to you. If there's some further changes you'd like to make above outside of the options in streamlined, we do allow for some tailoring or customization through our personalized design path. That does come with a higher design fee, usually a longer timeline, and depending on the changes that you're making, also a higher construction cost.
Yeah, that leads a little bit into the next question, which is any room for architect design options. So we have had clients who have come with an architect. We're welcome, we welcome those architects, we welcome the input. As Alison mentioned, with our streamlined design system, those components are pre-designed, pre-engineered. So there's not a whole lot of room for changes in the streamlined design system. In the personalized design system, there are some flexibility. There's some flexibility in that. Again, there are restrictions. We try to limit the footprints of each of the components. We're not doing sort of custom sizes, but you can make some changes as far as window placements, interior layout, some exterior porches. We can do some different size porches, entryways. And so if you have an architect that wants to make some suggestions on that, we certainly welcome that. If you're looking for an architect really to design most of the house, but using our panels and our factory, actually our sister company, Bensonwood, does have a path for that called Tectonics, where an outside designer, engineer can design a house that will can be built with our panels. So that would be another option if you are looking for that.
All right, we have another question. In some earlier webinars, you spoke about more options coming for garages. Will they be visible on your website? So the garages within Streamlined come in a couple different sizes and different orientations. So you can have enter the garage from, we'll rotate the garage usually. And that needs to work with the rest of your site, your driveway, etc. But our garages are mostly 2-car garages. So it's going to be 24 feet wide and with a simple gable. We're usually doing 2 separate garage doors, and then we have different lengths that they can come in. So we can do 24 by 24 and 24 by 32 in Streamlined. And we have a few other sizes available in Personalized. But the value of a Unity home is really in the insulated envelope. So that's where we focus a lot of our design intentions and all of our design systems. So sometimes clients will opt to have their garage built on site if they want something more unique than what we're offering for our garage packages. There is a lot of value in a Unity Homes garage package, being installed at the same time, the design of the foundation, in line with the garage, kind of all of that happening at once by a single architect, our in-house team. So that's kind of where we're at with garages. I don't think we'll have any additions, new offerings anytime soon. And we'll do our best to get those up onto the website. We're also in the middle of revamping some of how we display floor plans on the website. So that'll be an exciting change coming.
All right, next question is, why does Unity recommend slab-on grade for flat sites? And they said we're hoping to have a basement as a site permits. So first of all, yes, you can absolutely have a basement. We do plenty of houses that are on what we call a full basement or on a walkout basement. So there's sloping sites, especially sort of in our area of the country. There's a lot of sites that just require a walkout basement. So it's definitely possible. The reason why we recommend it, there's a few reasons. One is that it's the most economical. Basements do cost more. You have extra cost in excavation because you're digging deeper. There's more concrete that goes into it. If you have a slab on grade foundation, typically in our area, you only need to go down 4 feet for a frost wall. If you're doing a full basement, then you're going down 8 feet. Then once you put a basement, now you have to have a floor structure that's covering up that basement. So you're now adding floor framing to that. And if you have floor framing, then you're going to need to add some type of finished flooring onto that basement. So one of the advantages of slab on grade is that you can leave the finished concrete as your finished floor. And I know that makes a lot of people nervous because if you're used to typical construction, or maybe you have an older house now that has a basement and has a cold floor. The reason why we can recommend the slab on grade and leaving it as a finished floor, because we put a lot of insulation underneath the slab so that slab is now isolated from the cold temperatures of the ground, and the temperature of your slab is going to be much closer to the air temperature inside your house, so that it won't feel quite as cold. And there's lots of options. The base option is just doing sealed concrete. And it often creates a very natural, interesting sort of look. You get the look of the concrete and aggregate in there. Some clients have done stained concrete, and some have even done scored concrete and colored as they pour the concrete. So there's a few options there. But basically, to sum it up, it's a lot more cost effective to do a slab on grade and not have the additional cost of the basement. Again, the basement does give you more floor space, and in some designs, putting the mechanicals in the basement can be an advantage.
You can have flooring on your concrete slab as well if you prefer the flooring. And sometimes I like to explain a full basement can be a pretty expensive storage area.
Correct. Yeah, so we would like to sort of talk about why you're looking for a full basement, and as Alison alluded to, there's other options that might be more cost effective, like making the garage a little bit bigger, adding an attic. When I say an attic, a storage space above your garage, which we can do with our standard garage sizes, and we can get more storage space in other ways.
Let's see. So the next question is, can an upside down design be done? In Unity's history, we have done upside down designs with our 2-story platforms. So it would only be an option with our Värm or our trad. It would definitely be under personalized. It's not one of our pre-engineered or pre-designed options. And usually people are wanting that for views that are able to be higher up. So that would be living, kitchen, dining area on the 2nd floor. with bedrooms on the main level. So it's something that we've done in personalized and still relying on our basic, outside exterior dimensions and our volumes of our platforms to remain the same, and just changing the interior floor plans really.
All right. We would ultimately like to buy land so we can build the home. At what point do we involve Unity Home for the land selection? I don't want to end up picking land ultimately that won't work. Do you have a checklist or something when land shopping? So we have a white paper, right? And I don't recall the name of that. Do you?
I believe it's a blog. We have a couple of
Okay.
blog posts that do a good job of helping you understand some site conditions that result in certain design needs of the house after that. So that's something to be a little bit aware of. We're happy to help with that too. We don't necessarily help to the point of visiting a site and identifying buildability in terms of perk testing or the existence of ledge. You would want to work with a site planner on that. A lot of sites will come with the kind of pre-buildability guarantee if they've already been perk tested and things like that. A lot of local towns will require for a piece of land to be sold or subdivided that it does have to prove buildability for basic well and septic systems. But Unity Homes can do slab on grade, full basement, or walkout basement. So as long as we understand the cost implications of those things when you're looking at land, it's hard to say that Unity couldn't build on any particular piece of land.
Yeah. And if you read the blog post, it'll give you a lot of good information about things to look out for, things that'll impact the cost of the build.
Yeah.
So thinking about how expensive is it going to be to put in a driveway? How long is that driveway? Utilities that need to go from the street up to the driveway, lane clearing. So you get a lot of good information there. And if you get to the point where you have a site that really is questionable, as Allison said, involving a site planner, and at that point, even engaging with a local builder, will give you a lot of good information about those costs for the excavation and the land preparation and that sort of thing. So there's some things that you can do on your own, and then when you get to a certain point, we can certainly help guide you for that final decision.
I'll add too, you can find the blog posts at the very bottom of our website. In the blue bar at the bottom, one of the resources or links that are available there is blogs, and you can click on that and see the history of blogs that we put out there, and even search based on their topics. So that's a good resource for things farther than just the land question, but you'll definitely find that there too. Is it your turn or my turn?
I don't remember, but I was going to pass that one off to you because I think you have a good answer for this one.
All right, so the next question is there an option with the Zoom platform to have the main suite separate from the other bedrooms, meaning on the opposite side of the house? So yes, this is one of the most popular reasons I think people are interested in the Zoom, is that separation that's possible with the bedrooms, with the living space in the middle. So the Zoom is a rectangular kind of shape. It's long, and there's the living, kitchen, dining area in the middle, and you do have the option to have a primary bedroom suite on one side of that living, kitchen, dining area and secondary bedrooms on the other. However, when you're working with a design like that, it does mean that you have to have your garage off the eave side of the Zoom, and it does tend to prevent the nice easy plug on of screen porches. So I just like to make it's kind of a balance. I mean, building a house is always a balance of wants and budget and site and views and orientation and all of that. It's all a compromise usually. So it's something to consider, but yeah, that's one of the main benefits of the floor plan of the Zoom, I think.
All right. Does Unity offer a double wide door from the garage to the connector? The double wide door would facilitate moving items from garage into the house. And then second question, what about a sliding glass door for walkout basement? So first question, we have never done a double wide door from the garage to the connector. I see the point of, moving items from the garage into the house. Typically, those are, I want to say, sort of a one-time thing, moving into your house. You're not doing it on a regular basis. You're doing it, hopefully once. Occasionally you're upgrading furniture, upgrading appliances. Our approach is that we want to design the house for the way that it's going to be used the majority of the time. And we do have 36 wide inch doors. We can do a 42-inch wide door. Both of those would be wide enough to get most pieces of furniture and appliance into the main house. So the answer is no, that we do not do double wide doors from the garage to the connector. Second question, what about a sliding glass door for walkout basement? And yes, we often do a double door for the basement. Sometimes it's double wide with one fixed panel and one hinge side. Other times we do a sliding door, and that is a common feature for a walkout basement, is to have that double wide door, and they're typically full glass panels, because then that just brings a lot of natural light into a basement, which is, helps that basement feel more like living space.
All right. Next up we have, let's see, if we're on the fence about a piece of land and interested in working with you, would you come help us decide on the land, if the land is a good fit for our goals, eco-friendly builds, etc. Or should we lock in the land and customize the house to fit the land? I do think the blog post that we mentioned will help you a lot with questions like that. Essentially, you do want to think about orientation and what's possible for self-facing views and, typical gable style houses or a Zoom style house on a piece of land for solar orientation and or views, things like that. But Unity Homes isn't really going to be the right partner to visit a site and make those decisions with you. We recommend that most of our clients work with a site planner to evaluate things like that early on in the land finding process. Another entity or player that might be able to help is a site contractor. They can often visit sites early on and give you feedback on, cost of developing the land and orientation and things like that. If you haven't yet purchased land, that does become tricky. It is something that you have to think about as you're looking at land. Real estate agents, as well as the site planners who you might be able to involve early on can help influence that, help you with those decisions.
Can the house have a flat roof? No. Actually, all of our designs do have a pitch to them. Depends on the platform. So we have 5 platforms: a Värm, Xyla, Zoom, Trad, and Nano. They're all, except for the Zoom, they're gable roofs. So they do have a pitch to them. The Zoom is a mono pitch, and that is a lower pitch, but it's not flat. So flat roofs bring with them some additional challenges. And so currently in all of our designs, we do not have flat roofs.
Let's see, so how are external walls protected against the elements? What materials are you using for roofing? And how often do you have open houses? So the external walls, as we deliver the shell package, the exterior material is going to be the exterior zip sheathing, which has a weather resistant barrier built in. Our crew will do the installation of panels and finish up by taping the seams on the outside with that zip tape. That is enough to protect it from basic weather events for the short term. Siding is then installed on site by your local builder. You can source that siding through Unity Homes with a tempo package, or that can be on your local builder to provide the project. but that's gonna be installed and ultimately, excuse me, be what protects the exterior of the house. Flashing details around the windows and all of that is taken care of by Unity Homes, and the trim and the roofing materials. You do have the option with most of the platforms for your type of roofing. I would say asphalt shingle and metal roofing are the most common. With the Zoom, we do require that with that lower pitched roof, it be an EPDM rubber membrane roof or a metal roof only due to the shallower pitch. But that is an option up to you and the local builder. That's a material that your local builder will provide to the project. And open houses, that's a good question. We aim to have one open house a month between the months of April and November. So we will start up a new season of open houses come this April. And we aim to share that schedule with you as soon as it becomes available. We're still locking down some of those dates and hoping to make some finished, completed open houses available to you. And then also some that are under construction so you can get a good feel for what the shell package is as well.
Do you help advise build out to work with geothermal? So what we do is we will provide calculations. There's a standard form called Manual J that will go through and figure out, no matter what kind of heating and cooling system you're putting in, the size that that system needs to be. So we'll do those calculations for you. We will recommend a heating and cooling system, which is always based on air source heat pumps. And there's various ways to install those and apply them. Specifically to geothermal, so that Manual J, that calculation will apply to geothermal as well. We don't do geothermal often. We've had one house that was recently built the last couple of years that did install geothermal. We have one now that is in the planning phases of construction that's considering using geothermal. So it is possible. It's going to depend a little bit on your area and your cost. So real quick at a high level, geothermal is a little bit more efficient than the air source heat pump because you're using groundwater that's always at 50 degrees as opposed to air temperatures that vary and sometimes are below freezing. But the upfront installation costs are more expensive. And so that's part of what you have to balance out. There are some states that are offering significant rebates on geothermal. So if you can run the math on the installation costs between those two options, it may make sense, but generally it's just easier, simpler, and less upfront cost to do air source heat pumps. You want me to take this one too?
Sure.
So this question, who builds the slab on grade foundation? If it's a builder, how do they know what exactly needs to be provided for the house? So part of what we provide, we do all the design and engineering of the house. That includes the foundation. So we will provide very detailed, specific engineered foundation plans that the local builder, the country contractor will use to put that in. We also have every project when it gets to the build phase has a project manager from Unity Homes that's assigned to it. So they will work closely with that local builder to make sure that everything is built to the right specifications.
With the tempo package, how do you control the costs? So with the tempo package, we have we provide you with a baseline budget for the tempo package to start with, which assumes all the materials that we are able to provide the project within what we call our standard price point. And then you have the option to choose upgraded materials from there. So the selections team of Rachel and Hannah, and soon to be growing, will guide you through those choices and inform you of costs as you go. So you can kind of make the decision of okay, well, I'll save money with this finish, but I really want to upgrade with, another finish in another area. So that's kind of the back and forth information that we can provide during the tempo process. And the those will get sourced by us using kind of our high volume purchasing power or dealer status to purchase those and ship them right to the site as the builder is ready for them to install.
And there will be a lot of cost transparency during the process. We will give you a cost for the shell package. We'll give you a cost for the tempo package before you even begin picking finishes. As Allison said, with all those standard options, then that way, as you pick upgrades, the pricing will be updated and you'll see the impact of specific upgrades. And that will help you to make sure that you're staying within budget. I'm gonna let you take the next one too.
Oh yeah, I'll add real quick too that the tempo package can be kind of a la carte. So if there was a material that you wanted to provide to the project yourself, or in a different way, that there's that option too, to leave any material out of the tempo package if you need. The next question is, do you have plans to release a tiny home version or ADU style smaller than the Nano that we have on the website now? I don't believe we have plans to make anything smaller than the Nano. The Nano ranges from about 490 to 950 square feet, something like that. So it really is the perfect one size kind of cottage or guest house. And plenty of people have also built them as their primary residences. So yeah, we're a little larger than the definition of tiny home with the Nanos, but no plans to do anything smaller.
All right, how far do you ship? What kind of percentage shipping cost should you expect? So how far do we ship? We can ship anywhere in the continental US. I have to qualify that because I think Bensonwood, our sister company, is built in almost every state of the country. So in theory, we are able to do that. Most of our houses are in the Northeast because the shipping costs do get fairly high, outside of the Northeast. We've built as far south as South Carolina, or is it North Carolina maybe?
North, yeah.
North Carolina, and as far west as Wyoming. So there's not necessarily a percentage. It really depends on the size of the design, the size of the house, and how many trucks it's going to take to get that to site. What we can do, Allison showed you earlier in the presentation with the tool Seamless, we'll put in your address, and as you put together a design, it's going to put together the cost of the shell, but it's also going to put together exactly what it's going to cost to get it to your site. So we know your address, the software knows how many trucks it's going to take to actually get that design to your site, so we can give you pretty exact pricing looking at a specific design.
Nice. So we've got a question about HVAC. Does Unity design where the HVAC will go? Can the client select from ducted versus mini splits? I hear that the cleaning and maintenance on mini splits can be quite expensive. So yes, in a Unity home, the HVAC design is kind of pre-planned, where all the main elements of the units will be located, as well as the pathways for ductwork. The HVAC system that we're basing on, we talked a little bit about, is an air source heat pump system. So we'll design and size for that. And you do have the option for the distribution to be air source heat pumps wall mounted head unit. I'm sorry, blinking on that for a second. So you have an option of wall mounted head units and an air handler that can provide ductwork. So you can do a combination of that. You can do fully one or fully the other. And we'll work with you on what's going to be the best for comfort solution for the home as well. And we do recommend yearly service contracts for either one of those types of distribution, just to make sure that, cleaning the filters, maintaining the little pumps and stuff on them are always maintained. I think that's a good idea overall.
Do you offer financing? So the answer to that is no. But we do have some banks and other lending institutions that we can recommend. We have some that we've worked with in the past, and we actually, our team actually just met with a local bank yesterday to talk about a relationship with them. So we can often recommend a bank in your area to talk to that's familiar with our type of construction.
We kind of touched on this already a little bit about our service area. We don't currently have plans to expand into the west, which is another part of the question here. I think it's a very, very long-term dream of Ted Benson, the owner, but there's no current plans to expand to the west right now.
So this is an interesting question. How competitive are your shell package prices relative to other comparable builders? Example, GoLogic. So I don't know. I haven't bought a GoLogic house, so I don't entirely know. We're similar. I do believe that they focus a little bit more on passive house designs and meeting those certifications. Whereas we look at it as optimizing the design and finding a level of performance that is cost effective up front, but also provides the energy efficiency going forward. Sorry, I don't have the answer exactly to that.
I think one advantage that Unity might have is that we are able to, with our streamlined designs, able to give you a more solid price much earlier in the process. So I'm not sure, like Mark said, where we compare ultimately with them, but I think that we're able to give cost information a little bit earlier in the process. So we've only got a few more minutes here. I apologize if we miss any of the remaining questions. We will try to make sure to follow up and provide any answers after the fact if we can. And yeah, again, apologize if we miss your question, but we'll speed up a little.
Yeah, we appreciate the questions and the engagement. They've been good questions, and we'll get through a couple more here really quickly. Do you allow skylights for tight urban locations with tight neighbors? So the answer is no. We try hard to limit the number of penetrations through the roof. Every time you have a penetration in your exterior shell, that's a spot for air and heat to escape. It can be tricky to seal up skylights and insulate them. So for Unity homes, and again, we're trying to allow some flexibility, but also have some standards and keep some standard designs. We do not have skylights.
The next question is, what if I like the plan as is on the website? Is there any savings to be had? There can be savings with the express plans, which are taking a plan exactly as is. The plans that we are featuring on the website right now are all streamlined. So those are going to have a cost advantage over personalizing any of those under the personalized path. But yeah, so you will, because it's streamlined and or express.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead here and answer one last question because there's two that are very similar. And that's about radiant floors. Yeah. So radiant heat floors. So the answer is, so we don't put radiant heating in our floors, and there are several reasons. The first one is we typically recommend the air source heat pumps. Those operate strictly off of air, where radiant floors work off of a heat or water system. So in order to do radiant, first of all, you'd have to have a separate heating system. Those are typically run by fossil fuels, so propane or oil. We're trying to eliminate fossil fuels as much as we can from our homes, and you would have an added expense of having either a separate system because the radiant would not do cooling in the summer. So there's that inefficiency. The other answer too is that because of the airtightness and insulation levels of our house, that the radiant floor if it's set up to the way a typical radiant system is, it would be actually too warm for your house. It would heat up too quickly. So the temperature of that water would be brought down to a level that you wouldn't actually get a benefit of warm floors, which is one of the reasons why people typically do radiant. In a normal installation, the radiant for the water might be at 102, 104 degrees. If you're standing on a floor that is that warm, it feels warm. Because of the insulation level of our house, and don't quote me exactly on this, but the temperature of the water might be 80 degrees, which is below your body temperature and still would not feel warm. So it'd be more expensive and actually less advantage to do a radiant system.
I think that's true for all high performance homes too. Usually radiant is going to be overkill if the insulation and air tightness is really good.
All right, so as Alison said, we'll try to answer as many of these questions as we can in some follow-up. But we appreciate you joining us for this presentation on Unity Homes and our streamlined design system. And we look forward to talking to you about building your home.
Thank you.